O Lord of hosts, be with us, for we have none other help in times of adversity but Thee. O Lord of hosts, have mercy on us.
Welcome back, everyone. This is David Patrick Harry with Church of the Eternal Logos, and today I just want to give you guys a real quick review / recap from my perspective of the debate last night between Dyer and Stefan Molyneux. Now, I imagine many of you guys probably have already watched it, and some of you, or many of you, probably have not seen it yet. And I didn't plan on making a review video until I've seen how many shocking takeaways people have had from this debate. And so I just wanted to hop on here and make a real quick video of giving you the skinny, at least from my perspective, of what occurred, and really why I found the debate entirely underwhelming and highly revealing at the same time. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about. And before I even get into some of the philosophical critiques, I think we should show some respect and thank Stefan Molyneux for having Dyer on his channel. It's a huge platform. He's got like almost a million subscribers. So very big platform, and thank you for having a good faith discussion, having Jay on. Now, with that being said, there was really no debate. What occurred, or at least in my mind, was a sort of philosophical lecture by Dyer to Molyneux in terms of bringing him up to speed on what's called the state of the question. This is just a common phrase within academia in regards to really any discipline of knowledge. What is the state of the question? Scholars are always working on, critiquing, debating the state of the question. What is the question that field of study, that field of philosophy is dealing with? So it's like Dyer was bringing up the state of the question in empiricism and epistemology and metaphysics and all these different disciplines, all these different fields. And what it revealed is how Molyneux's really out of the loop in regards to philosophy, especially in the last 20 years, and like what's going on. And so this is part of what I'm going to say was highly revealing, is that I had high expectations for this debate. I thought it was going to build upon the Dillahunty debate. I thought, the Dillahunty debate was circular. Dillahunty didn't totally grasp the tag argument. He did see it as circular. Of course, he sort of rejected Gödel's incompleteness theorem, but then was ad hoc and arbitrary in his justification for induction himself. I thought Molyneux was going to be aware that was what transpired and maybe build upon it. That wasn't the case at all. And what became very obvious from the get-go is a lack of sophistication by Molyneux. And this was ironic because the way the debate starts is Molyneux really is trying to rebut Jay's critiques in regards to his philosophical credentials in a video he made 4 years ago, and highlights that he has a master's degree in the history of philosophy. Molyneux does. And so this is the very beginning of the debate, framing that he has academic rigor, he has academic knowledge, academic credentials in the field of philosophy. And then this leads into Molyneux letting Dyer start the debate by his critiques of materialism. And so, of course, Dyer then goes into the epistemological definition from the empiricist philosophical project. How do they define knowledge? Which induction, empiricism, the scientific method is going to be tied to sense data. Not controversial. This is pretty straightforward stuff here. And before he even can get down that rabbit hole and why his transcendental argument is going to address some obvious critiques and shortcomings within this definition, Molyneux starts critiquing it himself. First, with the idea of hunger. Well, what about hunger? Which really doesn't do what he thinks it's going to do in regards to this argument, because it's still going to be tied to sense data in regards to a sort of phenomenological experience. But that's not what we're talking about in regards to knowledge. This isn't the type of knowledge that's being described in regards to a philosophical position of empiricism. But even if you wanted to go down that rabbit hole, it's still a somatic process: hunger, neurons in your stomach, firings, and then you're going to get cognition and the inclination that you're hungry. But that's not the knowledge that we're even talking about. And then he goes into another, well, what about dreams? Dreams, you can get information from dreams. That's not from sense data. Okay, agreed. Dyer's not arguing for empiricism. He was just laying out, he was steel manning their definition of knowledge and then highlighting why that's going to have shortcomings. Molyneux also agrees that empirical definitions of knowledge has shortcomings, yet then later in the debate refers back to empiricism for the justification of something being true, which shows a total contradiction and an inability to really maintain coherency in his philosophical position, which is, again, the highly revealing part about this is, for me, again, the high expectations was how unsophisticated Molyneux appeared to be in regards to philosophy. It wasn't what I was expecting. And so that was the first part, is that Molyneux appeared to not be aware of what the definition of knowledge was within the empiricist philosophical project, and then had a bit of confusion in regards to what it means for sense data. This led to then the discussion. So right there, my eyes are open. I'm thinking, wow, he's not grasping things that I feel like he should be grasping. This leads to then where my jaw totally drops, and Molyneux not understanding that numbers themselves, number theory, is a meta-level question. These are non-physical. These are going to be transcendentals. These are going to pre-exist experience itself. They're going to be prerequisites for experience itself. And later, Dyer goes into this more specifically in regards to what transcendentals are and how the transcendental argument, where its starting point is. But Molyneux will start talking about 7 coconuts and not even realizing that the concept of 7, the cognitive category of 7, pre-exists your ability to look at 7 coconuts and know that those are 7 coconuts. And the fact that he wasn't aware of this, I thought was, my jaw was dropped. I was like, I thought he's like this big-time philosopher. What is going on here? And again, I don't mean to lambast Molyneux. Again, I was very surprised by the debate, but he has some ideas that I agree with. I mostly just follow him on Twitter, so I was very confused and was shocked by a lot of the stuff that occurred. So this whole discussion on the number 7 and not really realizing that numbers themselves are cognitive, which for us is going to lead back to our argument for the divine mind, for logos theology. But Dyer never even got there. So eventually, fast forward, they keep talking. Most of it is, again, Dyer getting him up to speed on the state of philosophy, on the state of the question. And then he starts going on to what the transcendental argument is, because Molyneux acts like he doesn't even know what transcendental arguments are. And so he would say something, and then Dyer would say, okay, well, yeah, that's a transcendental argument. No, it's not. And it's, yeah, that is. And then eventually he says, oh, so you're saying transcendental arguments are what I call self-detonating problems, and it's like, dude, I thought you're a philosopher. Like, what are you talking about? Self-detonating problems. Like, why aren't you just using the philosophical language? And then Dyer goes into about a 5, 6, 7 minute explanation of what the transcendental argument is trying to do. And then Molyneux says, I'm going to have to stop you there, Jay. To be honest, it sounds like you're just filibustering. And at this point, I'm just like, dude, this guy doesn't even follow. This guy doesn't even follow like philosophical jargon and conversation, and yet is labeled this big time philosopher with almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube. What the heck? I was just stunned. I was stunned, really. And how over and over again, he didn't realize that the burden of justification is still on him to justify induction, to justify ethics, which he makes ethical claims all the time on Twitter. That's where I know him most, is from Twitter. And at the same time has these really strange critiques of ethics. This was another part of the debate where ethics is brought up, And he talks about how, well, you know, ethics is really just used by the powerful, the nobility, the people that are in charge, to really get the masses to acquiesce to their sort of power claims, their power demands, and get them to follow a set of ethical rules and norms and guidelines that they themselves don't hold up to. And it's like, okay, that's not justification for ethics, brother. What are you talking about? Like, true. I don't think anybody listening or Dyer himself would disagree that ethics has been used by people of power to get people without power to do things and create, you know, maybe social norms or something like that. Okay. And then he says, therefore, I don't know how a God can exist if this is how ethics has been used. Dude, that's not even a logical follow. What are you talking about? That's weak sauce. That's not even a good argument. And I was stunned. I was stunned by that. And so we'll just leave it there. But yeah, he was talking about that as a reason for why ethics is used the way it is, and then also why it's hard for him to believe that a God exists. But in the question and answer section, I don't know if there's super chats there or not. I didn't see any in the live comment block. But he ends up saying that Molyneux says that if he believed in a God, so it seemed like he was aware of the difference between a single, simple essence and a triune deity, which is strange because now you're almost working at the paradigmatic level once you get there in terms of theology. But he seemed like he was totally lost in regards to the transcendental argument most of the video. That he said if he believed in a God, it would be Jesus. It would be Christianity. So that was really interesting, and maybe some hope there. Maybe if we, you know, pray and hope that Molyneux will find the light eventually and become Christian, and his worldview would certainly make a lot more sense because his critiques of empiricism to begin with, which he then contradicted later in the video, you can get around all that by having God. That's the whole idea of the tag argument. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say about Molyneux. Again, I just want to make this real quick. I don't want to keep going on this video. And one of the really insightful things I heard Jay say that I hadn't heard him say before was in regards to dialectical materialism, which is the kind of basis of Marxist philosophy. It's still common for professors and academics to claim to be dialectical materialists. That how its attack on epistemology, its attack on truth itself leads to this sort of circular process where it always eats itself. And immediately in my mind, I saw the Ouroboros, you know, the serpent that's biting its own tail, and how that really connects with all the sort of knowledge of this world, that for us, there's a logical progression by following all this stuff to God eventually, what we would say a real form of progress that goes back to God. But the knowledge of this world, as Paul talks about, is foolish. It only leads men to be foolish. And eventually it's always circular. And eventually it's self-consuming. And eventually it is that Ouroboros that's eating its own tail. And so that was the kind of mental image I got when he was talking. I thought that was really insightful. But that's really all I have to say. I wanted to make this video because after the debate, I think one of the reasons why I saw so many people saying, oh, Dyer, you know, you got owned by Molyneux, or how good the debate was, or how good Molyneux was. I was like, they just don't have any sort of philosophical tool belt, philosophical equipment, philosophical understanding, language, categories to understand what occurred and how sort of elementary the discussion was. Not that Jay wasn't, or it couldn't be. It just wasn't what I was expecting it to be at a sort of academic level, especially when you're invoking your academic credentials. So I think that's why so many of the people don't know really how to take it, and they really couldn't follow Jay and his argumentation because maybe they haven't been getting as good a philosophy from that particular channel as some would have thought. So that's when I'm going to leave it. Let me know what you guys think. If you had seen the debate, what did you think? Did you also feel that it was left wanting, that it wasn't what I was expecting or anticipating or presupposing in regards to Molyneux's philosophical sophistication? So let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious on the feedback here. And tomorrow I'll have a new video. It's on the tantric rise of Kali Ma, Kali, the goddess in Hinduism. So you should check that out. That will be tomorrow. I was going to post it today, but I wanted to hop on here and do this real quick. So let me know what you guys think. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. And as always, until tomorrow, God bless.